Alright, I'm making this video to give out more information on the 2004 through 2006 Acura TL manual swap. So this is a complete donor, or was a complete donor car that we used all the parts for to do the manual transmission swap. So first things first, when it came down to the subframe, we did not need to use the same subframe. We did not need to use the same manual transmission subframe. Now, that might be different for Type S, 07, 08, but for 04, 06, 05, mounting points for the transmission were the same. So again, this is strictly for 04 through 06. As far as what else was different, one of the harness running through the hole on the clutch master cylinder, the automatic had a harness running through that hole. Now, I did have to relocate the harness. We actually drilled a hole to the, well, if you're looking at it from the engine bay, to the right is where we made a hole for the harness and sealed it up to put the harness through there instead. Let me see if I can get a good angle of that. Yeah, it's kind of tight. Kind of tight. Let me go inside underneath, see if it shows it better. Yeah, kind of messy, but there's better ways of doing that. Now, you did need to also use the mounting points for the manual clutch pedal. Those we actually drilled out and used screws to put them on. So this mounting point right here, we drilled them out, took it off, and then screwed it on over there, or you can weld it. Same thing with this one, drill it out, take it off, and then screw it on over there or weld it. You also need the brake pedal because it's shorter. And I think the main reason I wanted to make this video was because of for one, the subframes. Again, 04 through 06, subframes are the same auto to manual. 07, 08, I believe, are the ones that are different, because we did not need to swap the subframe over. And shifter and everything else, that's obviously manual, that swaps over. But the key thing with 04, 05 versus 06, the computers are different. The harness for the dash is different. So this car was an 04. And the new, this car is an 06. So what was different was the ECUs. Excuse me. 04 is at the bottom, 06 is at the top. 04 and 05, they're the same for the ECU. 06 is the only one that has a different ECU, so it's a different dash harness. So in order for me to avoid doing the whole, you can make it easier, not easier. In order to do the swap, and you want to retain the same computer from the donor car, which is 04, 05, and you're putting it into an 06, you got to swap the dash harness. Basically, you got to remove the dash. Both cars, swap the dash harnesses and whatnot, and that's how you'll get it running. But I decided to buy an 06 manual ECU. And I actually have a scan tool to program the computer to the new car. So all I did was plug in the 06 manual ECU, program the ECU to the car. My scan tool is a Snap-on Ethos Pro. Honestly, I think Autel, the basic scan tools that are not the dealer grade scan tools, those can do it, because it allows you to teach keys and ECU reprogramming. So that's pretty good. Either that or maybe find a locksmith that can reprogram it. The other thing, well, obviously you have to also, the immobilizer for the, if you're swapping dash harnesses and keeping the 04, 05 ECU into 06, you would also have to swap over the key from the old donor car, because, well, the immobilizer is going to be taught to that computer, like the 04 to 04, and then, well, this was taught to the original 06 automatic. Sorry if I'm getting a little confusing, but basically if you don't have a scan tool, this is what you're going to be doing. Swapping over the dash harness with the ECU from 04 to the 06, and then also swapping out the immobilizer with the key. Now the one thing I haven't figured out is this car is automatic and it doesn't have the, well, it looks like you can take out the key when the shift interlock isn't energized. So, well, when I had the car running, the key won't come out. I'm guessing because it thinks it's not in park. I still got to figure that out, but I'm sure it's nothing. It's probably the same thing. Got to take this apart and look and see what mechanism it uses. But that's just what I had to deal with because I'm not using the manual ignition cylinder. But other than that, this swap is pretty much done. Excuse me, there is one more important thing. If you're doing it the way I am and you're not swapping out the dash harnesses to the manual dash harness, and that is, I do have the starter signal wire right here. Originally on automatics it's a blue with a white stripe, I believe, but if you're looking at a manual car, it's going to be a green wire. So what I did temporarily, because I wanted to make sure the car ran, I am going to be wiring in the connectors, looking at a wiring diagram. But temporarily, to get the car to crank without having to push in the clutch pedal, I wired this to the, to a ground. Doesn't matter, any ground or any metal, whatever. And then now the clutch switch is bypassed, so I can crank it, start it. But this is just a temporary thing until I make sure the car is all sorted out. Because afterwards, what I'm gonna do is that same blue-white wire, I'm gonna wire that into the connector for the clutch switch. Excuse me, the clutch switch. That's gonna go to the power wire on the clutch switch, and then I'm gonna ground out the other side to over here, so that way it works when it's back to normal, like you push in the clutch pedal to start the vehicle rather than just starting it without it. Most people, I guess, they wouldn't care about that, but I want to retain that feature, as well as the cruise control. That I had to look at the wiring schematic again, but it's pretty straightforward. I just have to see. I have to explain that later because I don't remember off the top of my head. But if you look at the schematic, you'll see the pinouts. You'll see what wires you'll have to find. Basically, just wire them in again. But it's the same thing. It's actually just two wires. And here they are. So green and black, that's for the clutch start switch, the signal switch to the starter. This is again green on the manual cars, and it's blue and white on the automatic cars. That wire goes right here next to the, excuse me, let me see if I can get the camera to focus. It'll be next to the white with the red stripe and the yellow wire, and it's behind these two green wires. Don't get it confused. You'll see it right there next to that yellow wire, and this is on your under dash fuse box. So again, this one right here. And then if you want to do it like me, just ground it out. But, well, again, I'm going to cut it right here and then splice it all the way to this connector on this side, and then I'm just going to ground out the black wire and retains that feature. Same thing goes for this one. I forgot where this wire is at, but same thing, just power and then ground. Simple. But I was looking for information online and YouTube, and also asking on the Facebook pages and whatnot, but I just wanted to contribute what I can. But yeah, thanks for watching.